So thank you so much for listening to Blue Sky Radio. Today is the 15th of November, and this is CKMS Radio Waterloo. You can find us at 102.7 FM, as well as our website is radiowaterloo.ca. With me today is Albert Botha, Director of Saving the Mustang, North America's Horse on the Brink. And congratulations on your documentary being entered into the Equus Film Festival.
Oh, thank you.
So that's pretty amazing. And I talked to Lisa Dearson, the founder of Equus Film Festival last week. So it's really amazing to have you on today.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So we can talk a bit more about that after, but would you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes, I'm Albert. I've been around the film industry for about 30 years now, lots of movies and projects, and this was a pet project of mine that I always wanted to do through my love for horses and getting interested in them. So that's how basically the project started. I can go into a bit of detail of
yes, please do.
Originally, so originally how the project came about was I've been working with a trainer here, Randy Bird. We did a video for him called Quiet Man, Quiet Horse, and which was quite successful. And then when was it, 2004, when Senator Burns slipped this one-page amendment in like a 400-page omnibus bill to change the way they could deal with the wild horses in America. I thought, well, this is crazy. They're going to just send all these horses to slaughter. I mean, I spoke to Randy about it, and I said, hey, Randy, are you up for a challenge? How about we go and get some Mustangs and show the world that these horses can be trained, even the older ones? Because I think the bill at that time said any horses over 8 years old or 10 years old can go for slaughter or can be sold because they have no further use for them. So we thought, well, why not go and get some Mustangs? So we did. We contacted the BLM, and they agreed. They said, sure, we can sell you some horses or give you some horses. They've never allowed them to come. These are branded Mustangs over 10 years old, and never allowed them to come to North America, or to Canada, I mean. Yeah, so we went down there and started filming of it, and then we brought 8 Mustangs up with us. They trucked them up here in Canada. And actually, Randy still has 4 of them. I still have 1 of them that's still alive. We reckon, because nobody really knew how old they were when we got them, but they were all over 10 years old. So they're probably around 27, 28 years old now.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing. But they have a good life, and they're living out their life here.
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking at the photo of, I guess that is you and Randy riding together. So where did you actually go to get these horses?
We went to Wyoming. So we went to the facility in Wyoming where the corrals and the holding pens that they have all these horses, once they've rounded them up, that was all the horses that got rounded up in Wyoming. And that's where we picked the horses that came up here for us.
Oh, okay.
So then after that, we brought the horses up here, and Randy spent a year trying to, slowly gentling these horses. I mean, they were completely wild. Oh, and they were all gelded stallions, right?
Okay.
And I've got some mares as well, but all the ones that went to Randy were all gelded stallions. So he worked for a year to get the trust of these horses. And then finally, he could hook them up and drive them on a carriage.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing. So,
yeah.
And today they're very calm, very, you can go and touch them and brush them and stuff. So they're pretty amazing.
It sounds
so we spend basically following the whole process for a year of how Randy slowly gentled it. And that's how I came up with. I said, well, there's more than this. Now that we know this can be done, we should do a film about it. And that's how the project came about. So then, obviously, trying to find financing, because we've been paying everything out of our own pockets for a couple of years. And then finally, I got in touch with Paul Kemp at Stornoway Productions, and they got in touch with. They actually did some programming for Pet Network, and Pet Network loved the idea and said, "Yeah, we'll give you some money, go make the documentary." So we did.
That's incredible. It sounds like almost like a life-changing experience in some way, because not everybody get to be around Mustangs in general.
No, exactly. Yeah, it created quite a bit of awareness for us, and then also going, first off, then finding Jar in the States, and then through Jar we did, we went down there and did a whole lot of footage on him, and then lots of interviews with different people. The BLM itself went down there, interviewed them, and then came across the Gwet'in Nation up in British Columbia, where they have the only protected area for wild horses in Canada.
Wow.
And went up there and met with the chief and Roger, and he was very keen and very interested to be part of it. So we went up there and documented how they deal with the wild horses and their protection area of them there.
That is just incredible. No wonder you're being entered into the Equus Film Festival. I can't believe it hasn't happened earlier.
Yeah, we just never, unfortunately, Stornoway Productions went out of business, and the whole project kind of, it did air on Pet TV, and then after that, when Stornoway kind of went out of business, the whole thing came to a slowdown. Nothing happened to it until I got contacted actually by Lisa this year, and said she heard about the project and said, would I be interested in entering it into the festival? So I finally got hold of Paul again, and somebody still had the original masters of the video, and so it got entered and accepted, which is great.
Wow. So how can a person view this documentary otherwise?
Not right now. There's no other way to view it other than on the festival circuit.
Wow.
So we hope to get it up. See what happens after the festival circuit. We'll see what interest we get from it. But yeah, we'd like to get it out there for people to see. Because there's some pretty amazing things, especially what Jar's doing, what Randy's doing, what the Gwet'in Nation is doing up there. Some very interesting people, and Jar has been on, and I want to mention too that I've spoken with Chief Roger William on the show too before, and had an amazing conversation. Yeah, so it's amazing how small the world is sometimes, and people are being brought together, and all for the love of horses. Also, it's really truly amazing. So, what was Jar's role in? What did you have Jar do? Well, mainly because of his project Arrowhead, that he's trying to get kids involved with horses, and I'm sure you discussed in detail on the show that you had with him of what he's doing.
Yeah.
But he's a very interesting character. We've become actually very close friends over the years, and he's got an amazing passion for horses and what he's done. I'm working on trying another show together with him at the moment, so hopefully we can have some news on a new show coming up.
Wow.
With him. But that's still in the pitch stage and development stage, so I can't say much about it yet.
That's understandable. So pardon, go on.
No, and then Randy, obviously I've been working with for years. I actually bought my first carriage horse from Randy, and a carriage from Randy years and years ago. So I've known Randy for many years and been very involved with his marketing and helping him get out there. And because he's got an amazing technique of how he trains horses and the gentle, quiet. That's why it's called Quiet amazing way of dealing with horses. So
yeah, sounds like it. That's the way to go, definitely. It's like a new way of horsemanship, really. Not the, I mean, when we talk about horses, and especially with the wild horses, and if people are aware how wild horses are being rounded up now, but, you know, historically how they've been rounded up, it's always been a very brutal thing. And people who like power in some way seem to really enjoy sometimes getting involved with horses, because you can force a horse to do something. And, you know, there's a lot of bondage almost. So it's so nice to hear a gentler way where you actually try to see the horse and you treat the horse like a horse.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Equus Film Festival, that your film will be, or the documentary is screened on the 2nd of December in New York. Is that right? That's amazing. That's right. Wow.
Yeah, so that'll be its first big international screening, so that's pretty good.
It'll just take off from there, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. We hope so. I mean, it's been a project of love in many years, and a lot of people's dedication went into it. So, you know, even the crew I took out there, you know, nobody really got paid a lot of money to do it. Everybody did it for the passion of doing it. So, and a little bit of spending money.
Yeah.
But it was all made by a really dedicated crew that came with us and did it all. Our cameraman, James Gardner, who's a world-known cinematographer, you know, that came and did it for us and shot a lot of it with us. You know, he really just did it out of love of coming out there with us and had a great time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a sleeper one. You almost want to call it a sleeper documentary. Or like, you know, it's been, you know, nobody at the time, I guess now is the time for it to be noticed. I mean, you talk about films being like a sleeper film, all of a sudden everybody's talking about it. And just hearing the various things that you actually did, like going to talk to the BLM, like those conversations would be really interesting to hear, as well as the fact that you know, saw Indigenous people here in Canada. Like, that is just so exciting. Like, you're touching on a lot of different aspects. It sounds like a very diverse documentary.
Yeah, and the irony about it is that it's almost as relevant today, if not more so, than what it was when we made it, right?
Exactly. I know. Nowadays, and especially when we think about resource development, which just seems wild horses are always up against whoever is after the land. And there's some other documentaries I know are coming out regarding that touches on like the mining industry and how much the mining industry really is behind, you know, removing horses, and there's just so much corporate behind the scenes, and so, well, thank you for, go on.
We even interviewed the Cattle Association, the Ranchers Association guys there, some of their main guys, who really lobbied to get the horses off the public land because it's range land, but that they run cattle on, right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting as well. And if you look at it today, I mean, even right now as we speak, there's still 46,000 horses sitting in holding facilities in the States. And if you figure some of the figures that's out there at the moment is it's costing the taxpayer $50 million plus. They say it's going to be over $1 billion over the lifespan of having all these horses sitting in holding pens. And, you know, I still am a firm believer that it's not a great way for these horses to end their lives, right? They've been running wild and free, and now suddenly they're all stuck in these holding pens.
I know. They're just... And the environment is not always great. I've seen where they don't have any shelter, and sometimes there's questions regarding do they have enough water, and it's muddy, and I mean, it's just keeping them until they die, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's like serving a prison sentence for them right now.
Yeah, well, that's why we need all of these voices like yourself that document what's happening, and because the general public still don't have a lot of idea of what's going on. I mean, people live very busy lives, and you know, it seems like there's a bit of a dichotomy between people sometimes, that some of us are maybe trying a gentler or a new approach, whereas others are still on that corporate ladder where they're, trying to accumulate. But Earth can't give endlessly. Like, we're starting to see the effects of human impact, whether you want to admit it or not. Humans have, obviously affected Earth in a negative way. So, I mean, we need people to stand up for Earth and the beings on it. And we are included.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so I had a question about Saving the Mustang Days held at Randy Bird's yearly.
Mm-hmm. Well, after we brought the Mustangs up, we decided to have an open house day once a year where people can come and then take a look at the Mustangs, and also Randy did some demonstrations on his farm, showing how he's worked with Mustangs and what he's done with them. So that was pretty well attended every year. We probably had, up to 100 people come to these events every year. In fact, even the Mustang Car Club out of Oshawa, they came with all their Mustang cars and parked their Mustangs there as well.
Nice.
They had like 30 Mustang cars there. And so we did that for a couple of years. And that was very well attended and very well received by the public. That was just a public awareness thing, right? To make people aware of what we're doing.
Maybe you would consider holding another event like that.
Yeah, I was actually just speaking to Randy this morning, and he was thinking of doing something again.
Wow, yeah, that'd be awesome. I would like to organize a bus ride from where I live and have people come from my area, because we don't have anything like that around here, as far as I know, and you guys are a little further away. I mean, the listeners to this radio show, Blue Sky Radio, we don't really know where they are, because, you can share this online and everything, but I'm in southwestern Ontario, and you mentioned you're in more on the eastern side. So
yeah, we're in eastern Ontario, and Randy's just up the road from me.
Yeah. Well, it's really amazing. So something else, and so Catherine Betts, she's really Canadian Wild Horses. I belong to Canadian Wild Horses too. We're advocacy organization. She had a question regarding if you would consider doing a documentary about the Albertan and the BC wildies.
Yeah, we talked about it. Obviously, trying to get funding for this project is almost impossible right now. Not too many of the broadcasters are too interested in it, because the American story obviously is a much bigger story. And the Canadian public, there's still the discrepancy about, are they truly wild, and do they have to be protected? I've done quite a bit of research on it, and I agree that it has to be done. I mean, seeing what Roger and them's done, they have a great sanctuary with all their horses.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe now with Saving the Mustang getting attention and getting into the Equus Festival, maybe now will be the time after where everything will kind of start coming together, and it'll get a little easier to get funding, because I know that's very difficult.
Yeah, that's our hope, is that we can get some awareness out of this project that's now on the circuit, and based on that, try and pitch some new ideas.
Yeah. Well, it's really awesome, and congratulations again. I mean, I'm so happy that we're connecting just a week after I actually talked to Lisa as well. And so this is all fresh, and it's happening in December. And then once the circuit comes to Canada, we'll have to find out where you're going to be at and things like that, to let people know how they can catch the documentary when it's being screened.
Yes, I'll definitely be at the screening there in Canada, and but that'll be posted through the Equus. They'll post whenever they on their tour. I don't know if they set dates yet for next year, but we'll certainly make sure we get it posted and get you notified from when that is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm going to stay in touch with Lisa as well. This is just so exciting. Like, I'm sitting here almost jumping in my chair. So I wish I'm going to have to make it to Headwater myself once
I think that's next year sometime. I believe it might even be in July, but I'm not gonna.
Yes, I think it's usually in July. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so beautiful time of the year. Well, Albert, did you have anything that you wanted to say before we end our conversation today? Any parting words?
Well, it's an ongoing project, the Mustangs, and it'll always be an ongoing struggle for them, for the Mustangs, because nobody really knows what to do with them, which is too bad. And I can see both sides of the problem, and that's what our documentary does as well. It shows both sides of the problem, and there still is no answer for it. So I don't know. We'll just hope that one day somebody will come up with an answer what to do with these 46,000 horses that's sitting in holding facilities, right?
Well, one thing that's really great that I know is being done with some of the horses, I mean, they have inmates in prisons work with them and gentle them and things like that. Like, horses can be beneficial in many ways if you consider them for community and mental health. How much horses can help a person with skills, like working with a horse, you know, like it forces you out of your comfort zone. I know that there are programs like equine assisted learning and so many different things that people are doing to incorporate horses into skills building. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciated our conversation, and again, congratulations to being entered into the Equus Film Festival.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate having me on.
And we'll stay in touch and talk to you soon.
We so will. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks for listening to Blue Sky Radio. That was our conversation with Albert Botha, the director of Saving the Mustang, North America's Horse on the Brink, that has been entered into the Equus Film Festival and will be screened in New York on the 2nd of December. And we're looking forward to having the documentary come to Canada as well with regards to the Equus Film Festival and the Canadian circuit. So that was really awesome to speak with him. This is at Radio Waterloo. You can find us online at radiowaterloo.ca. If you live in Kitchener and Waterloo, you can listen on the FM dial at 102.7. And our website is radiowaterloo.ca. Thank you so much for listening. Blue Sky Radio is on every Thursday, 12 o'clock. That is noon Eastern Time. And my name is Xeni.